Mungos, are we there? Oh my God. Mungos.
Can I hear you?
Mike, can you hear me?
I think I can.
Can you hear me?
Yep, all good.
Oh my goodness, what happened there?
I don't know, it wasn't accepting either of our requests to follow each other for some reason.
That was mad. It actually happened when I did the thing of OBS. It didn't work for his phone, but then it works for his girlfriend's phone. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do, eh?
I'm not gonna, some people would say, they'll be up in arms going, oh, this shit's not working, but you know what? What we can do now, you're in Scotland, I'm in Barcelona, we can have a direct, real-time stream and play music. We're here for the vibes, people. We're here to spread the vibes. And I think that's pretty amazing that we can do that.
Yep. It's almost seems like it was designed for people living in isolation.
You know what's really funny actually? I was with Dixon. A year and a half ago, I came to play at Walking State, and then she was saying, "Yo, Van, you should get on this streaming thing. Mungos HiFi is doing a streaming thing." And I'm like, "How do you do it?" And she's like, "I'm gonna write you this email about this streaming thing. I'm gonna tell you how Mungos do it." Because she said she was doing something for you, running the club and doing some streaming.
Yeah, we're still working on it together.
And then she told me some stories and how it went, and then I was like, I've got to do a streaming, and I didn't get around to doing it till this lockdown. And I read somewhere that with this quarantine, if you haven't learned something, then you've been wasting your time. And we've been locked down for 12 weeks here in Barcelona. One of the strictest lockdowns. It's not like in the UK where people are like partying and playing football and going to the park. Here, you had the police on the street. You couldn't go anywhere for ages. And only now, only in the last week or so, can you actually do something. Shopping centres are closed. You have to wear the face mask everywhere. You know.
Yeah, dread.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting the same way here, really. And anyway, let's not get too into COVID. There's more going on as well in the world.
I wanted to welcome everyone. This is Tune for Tune, a little concept that I thought of. I didn't invent. I just borrowed from reggae sound clash culture, where two selectors, two producers go head to head. This isn't about murderation. This is all about love we bring. And tonight is a special with Scotland's finest sound system purveyors, one of the world's best sound systems, to be honest, Mungos HiFi. And we organised this quite a while ago, and in the meantime, the world has gone crazy. Rest in peace, George Floyd, and all the people protesting. Black Lives Matter. All lives matter, yes, but right now Black Lives Matter, because that is the house that is on fire. I don't know if you saw it, but there's a video up today of another shooting that happened the same day as George Floyd. A black man
I heard about that.
in Phoenix, Arizona, in his car.
What?
By the police.
Dread.
And then the police have been beating up this 75-year-old guy in Buffalo. And I don't know.
I saw the film of that. Is the crack of his head on the floor is horrible.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I saw this thing from Will Smith where he said it's not that people are more racist now, it's that people are filming. You know? Maybe
so.
And something that ever since I got into music, one of the first things that got me into music, I came into this through hip hop, as you know, and hip hop and reggae. And one of the things that I always liked was when people mix kind of politics, entertainment, edutainment maybe. And I always liked, I mean, I like slackness too. I like, you know, party songs, girl songs, but I like songs like messages as well. And now is the time really for those tunes, because it's such a crazy thing. So when we set this up, this little meeting up, we thought together that we should do a thing about maybe we should put the music down a little bit.
Is it still a bit loud? Sorry.
Yeah. We were thinking about doing something, songs of rebellion, songs that kind of talk about the crazy times that we're going through right now. So since I invited you, since I invited the mighty Mungos HiFi, Scotland's finest, you should set it off.
Sure, I'd be delighted. Thanks a lot for having me, Vadim. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, as soon as you said that, it obviously struck a chord that that was the obvious theme we had to cover tonight, and instantly so many tunes came to my mind because, well, reggae music, sound system music, it is a music of rebellion. It is kicking back at a system. The ideas of Babylon are just infused everywhere through the music. So lots of tunes came to mind, but there were certain ones that I felt really struck a chord in this moment. And yeah, there were too many that I wanted to play, so it's been hard to pick them out. But anyway, without further ado, I'll kick off with this one that we recorded with Warrior Queen a long time ago. We first met Warrior Queen shortly after she recorded with a Bug, did the Poison Dart track, amazing Poison Dart track with him. And we brought her up to Glasgow to play at one of our nights at the art school, and we recorded some music with her. And this is one of the tunes that, yeah, really speaks to me in this time.
Do you really know? Do you really, really know? We can't keep pressure, we stay in a body land. When I eat out a rich man and we can't take it. No, we can't take it. No, we can't take it. No, we can't stand it. No, we can't take it. No. Me a go invade Iraq, me a go invade Iran. Invade the country with them nuclear weapons. From Almighty Jah, yes, me get division. Free black people from out of Babylon. So me know, these are gonna need no ammunition. But Jah just said me come prepare for my mission. Yes, the system, yes, the system, yes, the system, a big fraud. Yes, the system, yes, the system, yes, the system, a big fraud. The system, Babylon, yes, the system, a big fraud. We are gonna expose the Babylon. Provocation and repression and depression. See how we're rapping now with them making a me hand. So what I'm talking about now is the true tradition. The true tradition from the old one. Squad up and George William. Let's stand but to meditate. But don't work in Jamaican story. So very hard to bring it into slave. But Babylon's still up in the game. We can't take it. No, 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 we can't take it.
Really? What happened to the mic?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people were complaining about the levels before as well. Actually, is that better? Could you hear the tunes? Okay.
Yeah, but you were distorting a bit. Maybe you're sending too much to distorted level. You got to keep it.
Okay. Yeah. I'll turn it down a bit now. Anyway, hopefully that's better. So.
Mungos HiFi being unruly, pumping in the
No. I'm well in the greens. Yeah, so the classic reggae themes in that tune, "Leave Out of Babylon," and also going into a lot of the figures of the civil rights movement, the Jamaican civil rights movement, which is it's a nice piece of the culture that that she brings into that tune as well.
Did you know that in 1968, April the 4th, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered, and there was 6 days of protest after his death, 6 days of rioting that took over every major urban city in America. And on the 6th day, on April the 11th, they passed the Civil Rights Act, which I read that somewhere, and I was like, that's interesting. And when you read about the Civil Rights Act, before his death, they were actually, the government in the US was shying away from passing that act. Even though he was marching, people were marching, the protests and everything before his death. His death, in a way, capitulated the government to bring that in, which is such a terrible thing that he had to die to do that. And because there's quite a lot of people now, you know, I'm reading on Twitter and all kinds of people saying, they shouldn't be protesting, should be doing something more positive, and actually racism is not so much about white on black, it's black on black as well, and this, that, and the other. And man, it's like, it's such a deep, I can't believe that still 50 years on from that, people are still having to talk about the same flipping subject. And that a guy like that video, when I saw it, someone else told me, I wasn't shocked when I saw that video of George Floyd dying, because I've seen it before. I saw Rodney King get beaten up by police officers and the LA riots in the 90s. So that's been happening forever. We have it here in the UK. People, Mark Duggan got shot. I met his brother on the Broadwater Farm Estates. You know, Smiley culture, you know, all kinds of people have been died at the hands of the police, and it happened. The terrible, the shocking thing is not so much that happened, but that is still happening and nothing is changing. Absolutely nothing is changing, and or at least doesn't feel like it to me. And going back to we were talking about the Songs of Rebellion. When I got into music in the 90s, like late 80s, 90s, and I got into hip hop, and a lot of hip hop at that time was kind of political things. Groups like Public Enemy, KRS-One, things like that were very talking on political subjects. And then, like, later on in the 2000s, hip hop became rap music, and rap music became about doing cocaine and, I don't know, champagne parties. And that's when I kind of shied away from that mainstream kind of sound. And reggae is different in the sense that when you look at a reggae culture, you have artists like Vybz Kartel, who is very slackness, but even he is there bringing in people like Coffee. Do you know what I mean? And supporting the, I don't know if you call it Rastafari youth or conscious reggae or whatever. Within reggae, there's always been that kind of, at least it feels much more equal, that people can do a Panani song, a slackness song, but can also, with the other hand, do a jar song, do a song for oppression, sufferation, Babylon. Because I guess maybe in Jamaica, and the people who listen to reggae in this country, in the UK that is at least, you have that, you walk that line, I suppose, between God, between righteousness, between justice, and wanting to party.
Mm. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
well,
always. No, always. But it's reality, isn't it? They're all parts of life.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I always try to do in my music. The music that I produce is to represent, because sometimes I think about something very deep and political. Sometimes I think about social causes. Uh, um, Sometimes I think about more abstract things which don't necessarily have a it's not political or anything like that. And other times it's just like a party song. There's nothing wrong with partying. You have to party as well. Anyway, this is a song I recorded with J-Man, who I met at a festival somewhere in Devon. He was raving in a tent. He was like 16 years old, raving in a tent on the mic, and I was just blown away how he was mixing like reggae, patois, grime, drum and bass, just like emceeing crazy. And with another guy called Senor Wilson from Barcelona, where I'm now.
Yeah, know him well.
And the song is called War in the Streets, and that's literally what we got now. When I was reading the fact that Trump wants to send in the army against his own people, and I'm like, I don't know, like when I read about him the other day, I was speaking about Trump, and I was like, a lot of his speech and a lot of his demeanor reminds me of when Hitler came to power. Not that I was around in 1932, 33, but the way that he attacks the press and attacks anyone who doesn't support him viciously. And then I actually read, I looked it up, and hey presto, his first wife said that Donald Trump was beset with reading biographies and watching films on the rise of Adolf Hitler. And he used to read his biography at night in German and translate it to English because he wanted to get the original, I don't know, feeling of it from German, I suppose. I have no idea.
Wow.
And that photo, I don't know if you saw that photo of him, of Donald Trump standing outside the Church of a Bible the other day, when he cleared the crowd from that park he has to walk across from the White House. And hey presto, that is the exact same photo of what Hitler did in 1930, whatever, with a Bible, somehow saying that God is with him, whatever God that is. Crazy, right?
It's scary.
Sending soldiers and gassing people out the way so he can take a photo. Anyway, war on the streets.
Terrible.
We come the musical thing called War on the Streets, I would say. J-Man come sing the Wilson. Daddy Vadim, this is war in the streets. They walking around with the mark of the beast. They force you to work, say force you to speak. But Babylon them don't come in or talk to police. This is war in the streets. Walking around with the mark of the beast. They force you to work, say force you to speak. But Babylon them don't come in or talk to police. This is one for them. I'm a son of a mother them. I go hard for them. I'm a bleed food cheese with a Parker pen. Crashing beats when I target them. Justice for Palestine, Haiti, Syria. What about Grenville? Man still missing ya. War in Babylon, war in Libya. Poison, even the water's kicking your demons. Yeah man, I love him. Rapping, knocking. Hey man, I run him. Ain't no shooting, ain't no stabbing. Ain't no looting, ain't no grabbing. Yeah, me a soldier. I got a pen, no gun in a holster. I do this for the love of the culture. But them listen, but them vulture. Soldiers in the streets and my fighting for freedom. Soldiers in the streets, them are fighting them rights. This is war in the streets. They walking around with the mark of the beast. They force you to work, say force you to speak. But Babylon them don't come in or talk to police. No.
So I read another thing actually that said that all of the major changes that we had in our society have been because people protested. Like when women got the vote, the civil rights, a lot of things happened. So I think it's so important that people are out in the streets protesting this, even though that death didn't happen here with George Floyd. It's something that we have witnessed here with police brutality. And one thing that I've always been amazed with traveling like you guys travel is in France, how strong the people are in France. They can shut down a whole country from that protest. They shut down the harbors, the motorways, the train stations, the airports, when they're up in arms because teachers' pay is being frozen, or, you know, social security or things like that. The governments should be listening, because the government should be representing our needs, not the other way. We shouldn't be scared of the government. They should be scared of us. So if the people come together and believe that, say, for example, tuition fees, and I think in the UK for too long, people have been like downtrodden. Do you know what I mean? I can't hear you. Are you there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that too loud now again?
Yeah, I can hear
you. Yeah. There's been too much of the police on the streets. I think what you were saying there was making me think of the Alborosi tune. This one we recorded on the Mexican bean rhythm.
Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the jail. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the jail. When it's a floor where you take on, I know exactly my rights. I'm not trying to take you for fool. It's 9 o'clock in the night. Because I want me to see what you're doing. No laxity. But of course, there is no problem because policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. Mr. Brown, where you depend? I'm just smoking a spliff. But by the look in your eyes, I know things not go sweet. So 5 more Babylon come now, treating me like a terrorist. But Mr. Brown, you should know long time, sir. Rastaman a herbalist. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. Policeman and soldier, we stop pressure at the dreadlock. ID, passport and the cancer. No, you don't need no answer. Be fine. Whatever either. Life over there. It's a word not the chance. Tell me kick up the line, you keep testify. It's a word not the chance. I like from my damn princess. Yeah, you guide us protect. Rest the country, only grudge and quality. Word up with rich with the naivety. Say they got no love for humanity. People love the words for your rights and your liberty. Rest the country, only grudge and quality. Word up with rich with the naivety. Say they got no love for humanity. People love the words for your rights and your liberty. But this is sorry. Pray that we feel what you turned out to be. Every day we keep up and give us what deal. I cannot do that to win. Give the eyes to the king. My shield and strength within. Just guide and protect. I redeem all of my sin. That's the county gun, the grudge and vanity. World of which we deny identity. See they got no love for humanity. Feel the love for your rights and your liberty. That's the county gun, the grudge and vanity. World of which we deny identity. See they got no love for humanity. Now since the war, blood I run from the shore. A time to make the little children secure. King Rastafari is so true and so pure. His blessing shine upon me forevermore. Me tell Babylon no more scorn of before. No more innocent blood be shed on the floor. Crime and violence till we can't take no more. Give a little life to the needy and the poor. Rasta county gun the grudge and vanity. World love we preach with the naivety. See they got no love for humanity. People of the world for your rights and your liberty.
Who's that second guy? I can't hear.
Lyricson.
Who?
It's Lyricson. Lyricson.
Where's he from?
Guyana, I think, originally, but now he lives in France. He's done most of his work in France.
Lyricson, never heard of him. So good.
Really?
No.
He's an amazing singer. He's still performing.
What, is he very old?
No, he's not that old.
Lyricson.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and try and look for him.
Oh, do some research. There's some absolute gems out there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I find people all the time. He was really good. I was gonna go because that was the one you said you got two vocalists on the same rhythm. The rhythm's wicked.
Yeah.
And Alborosi. I first heard of Alborosi on a hip hop record by Black Twang. I don't know if you know him, a British rapper. And the track was called Stop and Search. And I just love that song so much. It came out, I don't know, like 2001, 2002, something like that. And obviously, you know, police stop and search. And then I know Black Twang, and I said to him, "Who's this guy, Alborosi? Who the hell is he?" Because I've never heard of him before. And he goes, "He's this Italian dread living in Jamaica." And I'm like, I would never have known because his flow was so flipping good. Always loved Alborosi. He's like one of my favorite in that style because he's got a particular style. But I heard him on a few dancehall records actually. He did a dancehall record with Bobby Condas, and it was him and maybe it was Little Kim and someone, and he sounded really good on that too. But he just doesn't really do those rhythms. He does more kind of that rootsy. Do you know what I mean? Vibe.
Yeah.
He smashes it. He's a wicked artist, and that lyrics.
I want to check out the Bobby Condas. I'm going to have a look for that after.
Yeah, I can send you a little MP3 later.
Yeah, wicked.
And it's like I never heard him on that kind of vibe because everything I hear from him is, you know, like Police in the Streets and Kingston and those kind of rhythms, which are wicked. But you know, this is again staying on the theme. This is a song I did with Raz Demolition Man, called "If Life Was a Thing." If life is a thing that you could buy, the rich would live and the poor would die. That's how the chorus goes.
Tonight's on a special night. We do it something like this.
If life was a thing that money could buy, the rich would live and the poor would die. I like Tanya with my people out to buy your money. This life has come with the time to realize they never tell real life. If life was a thing that money could buy, the rich would live and the poor would die. I like Tanya with my people out to buy your money. This life has come with the time to realize they never tell real life. The rich is getting richer, poor is getting poor. Mr. Poverty, I just my will if I get no people over pay with time so close. I don't to worry no more. Put your trust in the Father, you'll be safe and secure. All the poor is getting poorer while the rich is getting rich. Who does have the money, the poor separation and fear nothing in life, no matter how hard we try to get out. We not get pleasure out to see my people suffer. So hear our own say that the people pay no time soon. Something come and get the other get say that can soon. People's life was a thing that could be so good. You could never get my life, I shall be down in that hole. This life was a thing that money could buy. The rich would live and the poor would die. Time you hold my people out to buy you on the sky, but now the time to realize and you must tell me that life was a thing that money could buy. The rich would live and the poor would die. Time you hold my people out to buy you on the sky.
The thing, I mean, I love Demolition. I love what he did there, but that lyric really stuck with me because I don't know. Sometimes I get drawn into these arguments on Twitter with some people, and like especially like some of these American conservatives, and they're like, they don't want to pay for anything. They don't want to pay for anyone else. So they're like, if you can't afford healthcare, then it's your rotten luck. If you can't afford education, then it's your rotten luck. If you can't afford this, and I'm like, what kind of society is that? Because that really is a society of the wealthy and those who are just going to die on the streets. And that's not a society that I want to live in. And then
it's one that accepts no responsibility for the status quo as well.
And I'm like, the problem with that is very short. It's a very short vision, because you can say, okay, I worked really hard and I don't want my tax money to go and pay for the healthcare of that drunken bum over there. So I'm going to create a little closed community of just very rich people. We have a fantastic hospital, fantastic school, fantastic teachers, fantastic jobs, and all the rest of the society can go and whatever, you know, die. But you will leave your community to go and travel to work where you might get robbed. You might get stabbed. You might have to have a transplant. Where's that organ going to come from? It might not come from your gated community. So for me, I've always thought that life should embrace, you know, that is what a community is. It's where you look after the weakest parts. And sooner or later, even though we're still youngish, there's going to come to a time when we retire. And who's going to look after us? Or we just die? Do we just die in the street?
No, for sure. You know, we've got to be a community. I mean, but to be honest, more so, I'm shocked by the leadership at the moment, and shocked by the attitudes that have brought about the leadership we have at the moment. And yeah, so that's why I'm going to play the next tune. I'm going to it's Little John with a tune called "Calling All the Leaders."
I'm calling on the leader, calling on the leader. I'm calling on the leader, calling on the leader, calling on the leader, calling on the leader, calling on the leader. My people, are you ready to go back home? My people, are you ready to go back home? They've been down there so long. They've been down there so long. Every day, it's in life. We're going backwards in the mountains, and we're not making no progress towards our freedom. Leaders of the world, I'm calling on you, oh leaders of the world. In a this Lord, in a this stuck in a the system, and we can't get out of it. Babylon go put we down. Stuck in a the system, and I supposed to be free. Still they put their chains from we. So stuck in a the system, and smoke a little split here and there. Do you see that as a crime? Stuck in a the system, oh, in a the system. What, Lord? Every day Babylon in my trouble. trouble we. Somebody get robbed on the streets, but them not come and see. That's why I have to chant it down in my sweet reggae beats. Babylon go fall, Babylon go fall. Say every day all I want to do is spread the love. All Babylon we want to do is come and twist you up. Say lock you up and to throw away the key. We're supposed to be free, but no, we're stuck in our system. Can't get out of it. Babylon go put me down. Stuck in our system. And I'm supposed to be free, but still they put their chains on we. Stuck in our system. Smoke a little split here and there. Do you see that as a crime? Stuck in our system. Oh la la, in our system. Oh na na na. Said they're supposed to be there to help communities. If they help me, tell me now because it's new to me. You have to watch what me and say, cause they might shoot to me. They're the real criminals, Babylon go fall. A single mother still some food to feed her family. She got caught in Babylon, locked her up happily. Across the federal and certain people mad at me. Open your right, either wrong from the right. Bun down the federal, say bun them every day. Bun down the federal, say innocent youths get locked up every day. And when it's a funeral, say the Babylon, they smile and walk away. Cause to them, it's just another criminal out the way. Two opposites are some, yes, it's a sister, it's a brother. Yes, two opposites a father, it's an auntie, it's a mother. People on them causing pain and they might get away with it. Because the shot said it's okay, but they them not have to live with you to the system. You can't get out of it. Babylon go put we down. Stuck in our system. And I'm supposed to be free. Still they put their chains on we.
That's Charlie P there, stuck in the system. Again, felt I had to play that alongside the Little John. Yeah, it's also a universal experience, I think. And there's poor and downtrodden people everywhere in all kinds of communities. And the more that they can also see the commonality of their cause, the better as well.
That's true. I like that. The other Little John track you recorded with YT on YT's album.
Yeah. We Little John came here. There was an event in Glasgow, kind of a community fun fair day out, and so they came to us to program a stage. So it was one of those golden opportunities. We knew that bringing Little John to Glasgow wasn't a commercial venture, but it was something that with a bit of funding was possible. So as soon as we knew that we could afford to bring an artist from Jamaica, Little John was one of the first that we wanted to bring, because we loved so many of his tunes from back in the day. And so he stayed here a whole week and we recorded absolutely loads with him and hung out. It was, I feel it's a real privilege. We got to spend that time with him and have bumped into him since as well and kept in touch.
I think you guys had do you think Mungos HiFi would have had the same level of success and opportunity if you'd have been all of you based in London?
Gosh, it's hard to say, isn't it? I think in a way, being where we are a product of Glasgow. We very much made ourselves. We're rooted in the city.
I think you've had a wonderful. I remember coming to Glasgow. The first time was like, I don't know, 1995 something, to come and DJ, and I can't remember there being much reggae, if any reggae at all, in Glasgow in 1995. Maybe there was, but I just didn't hear it.
Yeah, it's always bubbled on. It's always bubbled around, and often in unexpected places.
And I just think it's I mean, it's amazing what you guys have done, because so, like, I was talking to Pixie Vixie again, and she was just telling me how many sound systems there are in Glasgow now, and it was like, she said something that's like 25 or 45 sound systems in Glasgow. And
there are many, and it's delightful.
And I'm like, really? In a city of like what, 1-2 million people, 45 sound? I can't even name you 5 sound systems in Barcelona. I can name one, Green Light. You know what I mean?
There's a few. I could name a couple more.
But I mean, actually, but I mean, when I mean sound system, I mean people with speakers, not just. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
That's what
Hmm.
when I mean sound system. That's what I mean. Like, you know, OBF, Stand High Patrol. They've got speakers. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Not just selectors.
Mm.
And I just think that's been really a blessing for you guys, because it was obviously London was such a saturation of, you know, Jamaican culture. A lot of the Jamaican diaspora came there, moved to Brixton, to Tottenham, to some went to Bristol, and the competition to, you know, for nights, just the amount of reggae nights there are in London, it's very huge competition, you know, to be seen and to be heard. And
It's a hard city in London. It's a hard city.
yeah, it is very, very, very hard. And I miss, but I do miss, but you know, I don't live in London anymore. I'm based in Barcelona, but I do miss that just the that music vibe, in a sense, because you don't get it here in Barcelona. They don't, you know, even though you have like Dub Gathering and a Rotterdam, and I mean they're not in Barcelona per se, but you know what I mean. You have big reggae things, but you don't feel the reggae music like you do in the UK.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I was just walking around Glasgow with Vixie again, going back with her, and we just went to some guy's coffee grinding place, and he's playing reggae there. I'm like, that would never happen in Barcelona. You'd go to find a guy
Really?
grinding coffee, and he'd be playing reggae. Like
I'm surprised.
you'll hear gabba, you'll hear trance, you'll hear techno, you'll hear heavy metal. You very rarely. I've never heard reggae anywhere. You know, apart from going to a club that plays reggae, I've never heard it in a street, in a cafe or anything going past. And that, you know, I miss that. I miss just walking in somewhere randomly, into a coffee shop, into a little restaurant, into whatever, and just hearing some good tunes.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
I'm surprised, to be honest. But then again, these things come in waves. You know, they grow and they shrink in different environments and at different times. So I'm sure it'll come back. But I think of Barcelona as a big reggae city with, yeah, quite a lot going on. But then again, I don't live there, so I don't know what it's like day to day.
Yeah, I mean, there are things. I'm not going to say there's nothing, but it's nowhere near. I mean, I guess coming from the UK, we're very blessed, and I went, you know, like a lot of people. Like I was talking to Fat Freddy's Drop, and they were like, they were saying, oh yeah, Germany is like the strongest reggae scene in Europe, and I'm like, you know what? I go to Germany a lot. I really do, and I big up all my German people. But I talk to people there, and last week I did the same broadcast with Centenon, and they were kind of echoing my thoughts that because they don't have a big Jamaican diaspora, they have hardly any Jamaican people there. Music is very based on fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And if your music isn't in fashion, I mean, not your music, but you mean a genre isn't in fashion, clubs can die out very quickly. And we're lucky in the UK because there is such a big diaspora that the music doesn't have to be in the charts. You know, Sean Paul doesn't have to be #1 in the charts for people to like reggae. Or Bob Marley. People are still going to go to the nights because there's that, you know, you can go to a pub in any random little place, Bolton, Inverness, wherever, and they'll probably have some reggae on the jukebox.
Mm-hmm. It's more infused, maybe.
Yeah, it's that ingrained. And then you have bands which aren't reggae, but reggae inspired, like the what's that group who did Our House in the middle of
Madness,
and people like that who are very, their sound is very kind of ska, you know, reggae inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to the sufferation, the murder. Here's back to more things grim. Here's a song I did with amazing singer. His voice has not changed in 40 years. Earl 16. Murder. I did this in 2015, and I shot a video cutting up footage of police pulling people out of cars and beating people up, and you know, I can't believe that 5 years on, you know, this whole George Floyd thing happened. But there we go.
Mm.
What is going on? There is something wrong. There's nobody to let. Vigilante Babylon. No justice, no peace. When you see the mark of the beast, the cops are out of control. Yeah. Babylon the everywhere. So I'm gonna expect for the man that moves no longer here. I remember one time they lived me and it was everywhere. Spilling on my shirt and I didn't even care. Move on now, murder everywhere. So I'm gonna expect for the man that moves no longer here. I remember one time they lived me and it was everywhere. Spilling on my shirt and I didn't even care. Murder, take for your life that the name is burglar. The Babylon system being America is right here. Sorry, but I was alert ya. Take for your past and the race in future. Deprogram like a name computer. Don't conform to the norm, then they gone, then they done. What was it? Babylon remove ya. Shoot as crazy, gunshots coming from the whip to the babies. Never see the story in the press and the dailies. Front page press when it's all about AIDS. So that's why I'm like, fuck you, baby. They don't really give a damn what they aim in. Say the word anytime, but I say when. What's the point of a beast if the beast don't slay men? Murder everywhere. So I'm gonna step for the man that moves no longer here. I remember one time they lived me and it was everywhere. Spilling on my shirt and I didn't even care. Nothing, no. The beast is lurking, so one day I move, but I need the serpent. They move covertly beneath the surface, then I pull up in a whip and I need to search it like. You got a face that fits the description, and we can see you never had a conviction. You see, there was this crime in Brixton. I live in Catford, where's the connection? They got me in a lineup, fist to the face, now my eyes are shine up. No from board of representation, strip searching, got me standing there naked. And that's why I hate the beast. Star Wars and they wanna make the peace. Ironic, the pigs wanna make the beef. Then run for the hills when we take the lead. It's like, why them everywhere? Double up one power, so them can try squeeze up in your square. Every day they want lock with them, they try make it their career. Man, them get prepared, cause we're fighting back this year. Murder everywhere. So I wanna make step for the man that moves no longer here. I remember one time they lived me and it was everywhere. Spilling on my shirt and I didn't even care.
Murder. We're
Yes,
ghostwriters
Vadim.
as well. I don't know if you know those guys.
Sorry, who's that?
Ghostwriters.
Yeah. On the rap. Nice, man.
They did a wicked second album, and then True Thoughts dropped the bomb, didn't release it, and then they went over to Shepdog's label, and Shepdog has been
Nice up.
has been sitting on their records for so long, and it's just it's that must just suck. You do a record and then a label just sits on it, doesn't do anything.
Well, I don't know. I feel slightly ashamed because I know I've done that to a few people in time. We've recorded music and it's taken us years to get it out. The album we're making now with Marina P that's going to be coming out later in the year. Some of those tunes have been a long time coming. So yeah,
but that's mad
hopefully we can.
because we spoke about this. I spoke to you or to Tom about this, and you were like. We spoke about this before, and I think it was like 2 years ago. He said, yeah, we're doing a Marina P album. And then like I was thinking, what happened to the Marina P? I just got a warning from Instagram saying it's detected music, copyrighted music. I actually got kicked off Facebook a month ago for doing a live stream. And the stream that they actually pulled was me doing my own self mix, or doing a mix of my own music. And they pulled it, shut my page out, shut me out of Facebook. I had no access to it, and you've got no way of talking to them.
No recourse. Yeah.
No,
Oh man, if
there's not a telephone number you can call. And finally, I was able to get to talk to someone, and they're like, "You playing copyrighted music?" And I'm like, "I am the writer, the author, the producer." And they're like, you don't own the copyright. I go, I license the copyright to the label. I can provide you with written authorization from the labels, which aren't mine, that have released that music, whether it's BBE, whether it's Ninja Tune, whether it's whoever, to allow you. It's absolutely retarded. You're stopping me playing my own music. And it's like an automated, it feels like an automated message. You don't have you're breaking copyright infringement for playing copyrighted music. I'm like, I just told you, it's my music.
Yeah,
so
it sucks.
Sent me this message now, so maybe we should play less of each song.
Less of each song, is it really?
Yeah. Honestly,
oh gosh.
seriously.
Oh no. Okay. Cool.
I absolutely hate that about. There's lots of things I like about. I've been around in the music scene for quite a while, and when I came out, there was no Instagram, there was no internet as we know it. There was no YouTube, there was no Facebook. There was a thing called instant messenger, where people could talk to each other across the world in the 90s, but no internet. And there's certain things, you didn't have a mobile phone, didn't have a credit card, you had nothing. And to think now, how do you get hold of someone who hasn't got a mobile phone? It's like, what? But we did in the past. And nowadays, everyone has a mobile phone. Everybody has, FaceTime and Skype, and you can talk to anyone on the other side of the world and go on encyclopedia, fact check, and do this, that, and the other. And yet at the same time, you have companies that you have no recourse to. You sign up, you do paid posts, you give them. I've given a lot of money to Facebook, and have no way to talk to them. And I just think that is so. I hate that about this society that we live in. Like these protests that people are protesting isn't necessarily just about George Floyd. It's about a whole list of grievances that people are suffering from, and this whole thing with COVID and the lockdown and people not being paid and not having any jobs, and and especially if you are not a white male, you're even more prejudiced against.
Yeah. Dread
of that. Anyway, what's your selection?
Well, since you used it for the promotion of the show, and since we have a really nice dub plate that I do enjoy, and since we really want to wind up the copyright police, I've got Welcome to Jamrock dub plate, which we have paid for, but we'll see what they think of that.
Out in the street, they call it murder.
So welcome to Jamrock, Camp Mungos HiFi Campat. 2 tonner weed in a van back, it in a the handbag, the knapsack it in a the backpack. The smell of give your girlfriend contact. Some boy not know this, them only come around like tourists. On the beach with a few club sodas and bedtime stories, and pose like them name Chuck Norris, and don't know the real hardcore. Sandals are not back to Mungos HiFi, we do where them got to, and won't think twice to shot you. Don't let them spot you unless you carry guns a lot too. A beer tough thing come at you when Mungos stop, laugh and block up traffic. Then we run pop up and start clap it with the pin file long and it a beat rapid. Police come in a jeep and them can't stop it. Some say them a playboy rabbit. Come alone and get dropped like a bad habit. Then nobody post up if you know don't have it. Rastafari stands alone. Welcome to Jamrock. Welcome to Jamrock.
Out in the street, they call it murder.
Welcome to Jamrock. Poor people are dead at random. Political violence can't done. A ghost and phantom. The boy will get blind by stardom. The king of all kings are called. Old man to pick me. So why even no one if you wish we to see some sufferation sick we. Them suit not fit we. The win election them trick we. And don't do nothing at all. Come on, let's face it. Get our education basic, and most of the youth them waste it. And when them waste it, that's when them take up gun replace it. So them don't stand a chance. So And that's why the little boy have some fatmatic with the extra magazine in a them back pockets and a bleach at night time in a some black jackets. If them not lock like said them a lock rocket, then we pull you up a current like shock socket and a run a road block with spark caps block it. And from now till a morning a stop clock it. Can't run out around. So welcome. Yeah, you know. Voice of the one called Big Gangzilla Mungos HiFi, you know. Yeah. Big up on the stand every time. Yes, I knew.
How did
Sorry,
you
I had.
up late, man? How did you get that?
I can't give away all our secrets, Vadim.
That is sick, man. Like, oh man, Damian Marley. It's like he is one of the. I'm so happy that he's in reggae music and he's active now, and I'm sure he's going to make something about what's going on right now, and it's going to be very powerful. He's a very positive voice in reggae music, and that's
Absolutely.
I mean, I was wondering what he was going to say. Welcome to Scotland. That would have been good.
No, do you know what? I'm glad he stuck a lot to the original. And to be honest, I'm sorry I played so much of it, but the second verse, he really gets stuck in on the original themes of it, which frankly, I'm glad he did. I can't stand a dub plate that's too much blowing your own trumpet. Like the original tune is the one for me. And he really delivered the goods there as well, which is good of him.
Yeah, man, Damien. I love that song from his. I like a lot of his music, and he's diversified, I guess, more recently in the style of the production. But there's one track on his last album called "Speak Life." And he shot the video in Ethiopia, and it's it's like one of my favorite songs of the last 10, 20 years. And it's not a dance song. It's a really mellow, thought-provoked, conscious song about everyday life, just regular people doing that 9-to-5 grind and doing a song representing people who are doing the 9-to-5. And that is what I love about music that can touch everyone's soul. And that's the thing. It's like really easy to get stuck into this, YouTube numbers and Instagram numbers and Facebook and sales and radio play and all these things that the distributors tell us and whatnot. But when I travel the world and I go to far from all these kind of weird places that no one's ever heard of, and cities and towns and villages, and the one voice that's unified all these people, and I've been to 86 countries, is Bob Marley. And I would say he is the world's biggest musical icon. He's definitely not the biggest selling, but he's probably the biggest because most of the world lives in shit. It's poverty-stricken, disease-ridden, impoverished, facing huge injustices. Whether you talk about the favelas in South, I forgot to say, they lock you out after like an hour streaming. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put these two videos together.
Okay.
Snip, glue. Instagram cut you off after an hour unless you've got like crazy listeners like D-Nice. Anyway, back to the Sufferation. This is a song I did with Max Romeo. We're on tune 4 now. This is my 4th tune. Max Romeo, War on the Babylon. Love the album. Love his voice. So many tunes of his I love. And we did a song called Judgment.
Now, here comes the thing called judgment. For those who don't know, you better get to know, Sure. You better free up your mind. Look on your watch and you will see what is the time. Check your almanac and you will see what is the date. Judgment, I want none of them can escape. Because of the wicked ways of man and the thundering of the land. the prayers of the people, calling for divine intervention. The skies will be painted with fire, and the seas will be filled with blood. The days will be hotter and drier, the earth will be covered with blood. I'm talking about judgment. Wake up to your judgment. Time to face that judgment. This will be your judgment. Because the land of milk and honey was built and plenty money was still the blood of Benny and killed of anybody to get not a deal who they see colonialism. Wake up to judgment morning. Because I run my time to run, but there is no way to hide. Judgment I wash over them like a tide. Put war aside, they call you foolish pride. Consequences we just can't have. God, it's a judgment time. Never lose yourself in probably wrong phantom, and you better clean up your hand, you better free up your mind. Start out yourself and get yourself in a like a this a judgment time. Bring storm, lightning and thunder, and all your elements combine. Yes, we all will see the might of Mother Nature and Father Time. Seek repentance, then all life and earth will cease. Turn around, come again, for your judgment will be unleashed. I'm talking about judgment. Wake up to your judgment. Time to face the judgment. This will be your judgment.
Yeah, man, Max Romeo, bad singer.
I actually went on tour with him in the UK. Wicked band.
Mm.
Still kills it. Like a lot of energy, and he must be what, late 60s.
Is that Charmax band?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the band, but the band was sick.
Nice. Yeah.
Half British, half Jamaican.
Nice.
Or British Jamaican. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, love Max Romeo. Cool guys. Like really plowed a straight furrow his whole career. Just never wavered from good quality tunes and really righteous. You know, he's never gone pop really. Well, actually, he has. He started pop, didn't he? And then he came back.
Didn't that tune Wet Dream go in the charts?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. He kind of did start pop, but I get the feeling his heart was never in it.
No, that's quite a funny title for a track.
Yep. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was all the Carry On reggae era, I think, when that sort of thing was a little bit risque, and yeah, people like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. So tune number 5, Doug. What we got?
Yeah, well, this is it. This is it. And to be honest, as soon as you mentioned the theme of revolution and Babylon bashing, this tune came to mind. It's my good friend Parley B. It was on the Forward Ever album. It's the last tune on the album, and it is one that's never far from the selection bag. I really love Tom's production on it. The sub is immense. If you get it on a good system, it really rattles the foundations, and the vocal is brilliant. One of Parley's really original vocals. The content is solid, and yeah, the different styles he goes through, I love it every time. I never get sick of this tune, and it's a steppers tune as well, which is nice. I wouldn't want to play steppers all night, but I do like a bit of steppers in the right place, and yeah, this one really does it for me.
How you mean? Yo, never bust off the magazine. Cardi be there. When me tell them. Babylon, them a come with the battle. You know, see them hard in rotten. Out the road, you know, see what's happening. The government of them can't see problems. Babylon, them a come with the battle. You know, see them hard in rotten. Out the road, you know, see what's happening. The government of them can't see problems. Them a fat man, teeth I pussy, as the light I am. Kiss me left back, them your father and all you want. So, me got on the time Babylon. That's a moderation, all you mean? That's a moderation, middle war. You want to buy a man, you wear them little set of a plan. In this section, they got stop allow. Me a these and the youth in a place like gravel out. The negative fight down, they have people now. A beat and love, how we beat from out. Babylon, them a come with the mountain. You know see them hard in the rotten. Out of road you not see what's happening. The government of them can't see problems. Babylon them a come with the mountain. You know see them hard in the rotten. Out of road you not see what's happening. The government of them can't see problems. This house like a donkey. Move all out, pass the hanky. Me hear say them a real vigilante. Now they not so the big girl come on big. They get you out, they not ramping, not pampering. What's the big thing? I'm murdering. How with the preaching? You need a positive mind. In a this your time, while city night time. You'll be a time, will be one bad mind. Put down the time, don't be well qualified. Stop your beef trap, you need a positive mind. In a this your time, while city night time. You'll be a time, will be one bad mind. Put down the time, don't be well qualified. Stop your beef trap.
Man.
You need a positive mind. You need a positive mind in this dark time.
You do. Big up Paul Brown, Parley B, wicked vocalist.
Yeah, man.
He's got that little signature. Hey, that funny sound.
Aha!
Yeah, that's it. That funny little. How does the production work then at Mungos HiFi for people who don't know? Because you have Craig, you have Tom, you have yourself.
Sure, and Jerome as well. The four of us, we're the core members of the sound, and we all run the sound together. We take responsibility. We discuss and make decisions as a collective, but we do different things within that. And Craig does some production, but Tom does the bulk of the production. He spends most of his time in the studio, coming up with brilliant tunes, and has been for as long as I've known him, for the last over 20 years.
So he makes some rhythms, but what I mean, like, rhythms are rhythms. Like, I make rhythms all the time, and is there like ever like like this one isn't quite, come on Tom, this one isn't quite up to scratch, or is that
the sound system, it's a process, isn't it? I mean, we don't have to tell each other. We're all able to make our own decisions, but I think it becomes clear over time, the tunes that, and when there's a tune that everyone gravitates to, then that's a good sign that it's going to have a universal appeal. True. I mean, obviously, it's never always a simple, straightforward thing. We might disagree about this or that, but that's life, isn't it? And sometimes you swallow it, and sometimes you stick to a point if you feel it strongly, and I think that's a real strength in a collective, as long as you can make that work.
Well, of course, if you can agree to disagree. And what happens? Do you ever, like, one person starts it, another person finishes it, or it's like Craig starts and Craig finishes, and then Tom starts,
There's there's no massive pattern within it. You know, it's a process, and that's why playing with the sound system really helps. The fact that we all do that, we play on the sound, we get to play tunes live, we get to work with MCs in a live situation, which is a bit more fluid, as well as in the studio. And I think that hopefully really infuses into the music, and it is a genuine part of the process where we we just try stuff out and we see what works.
And how important is the having and running a huge sound system within the actual production of the music?
Well, I mean, it's going to inform someone's ear, isn't it? How it's going to sound. It is music that's made for sound systems, although again, yeah, and that's, which is difficult then when you're also trying to make something that comes across on the radio, where you don't necessarily have the low end production, and again, real concentration on getting the right sound. And again, Tom's been working really hard on that, on getting mastering done a certain way so that you have the subs, but as well it works when they're not there, so that you don't have tunes that you hear on the radio and you just don't get it because you don't have the full thing. But you get the full experience, obviously, with the sound system with a decent sub.
Because for me personally, being a one hand being a producer and on the other hand being a DJ, they kind of feed each other. Because I can make something in the studio and test it straight away, go to a club, play it, and then maybe it didn't work. And you would test it and you go, no, it doesn't work. The mix doesn't work because it's too much something, or it just doesn't work because of, and it's great being able to test the productions before they get released like that, to twinkle it. And like you say, like for me, it's very important to get the low end, but also to, but you know, the reality of the people who listen to Mungos or to DJ Vadim or to whoever is they're probably listening on a hi-fi, listening in the car, listening on a Walkman, things that don't play 40 hertz, 50 hertz, 60 hertz, 70 hertz. You don't get that channel 1 bass drop. You know what I mean? Yeah. You get the high ends, the ringing. Well, this is my tune number 5. I'm going to play the original. If people want to check out, actually, Mungos HiFi did a remix of this song. It fits the theme of tonight. It's called They Don't Love. Big up J-Mac, who was watching this. He's one of the MCs on this. And again, it's about politicians, about the classes who rule us. And we are ruled. We're ruled like sheep. And many times it feels like we are being led to places we don't want to be at. And I wish that we had more unity within the people to stand up to it. But unfortunately, subjects like Brexit demonstrated how divided the people are. In Spanish, they say, El pueblo unido jamás vendido, means the people united are never defeated. The problem is we're not united. There were some issues with Brexit, with people and areas of the UK which were left behind, which were forgotten. Were forgotten by Labour, were forgotten by the Conservatives, were forgotten by everyone. You know, problems with companies exporting all of their manufacture abroad, you know, to make it cheaper. That Primark's quality, you know what I mean? Make it all in China and sell it for £1, you know, but then all those jobs have left the UK, you know, and then you create this huge unemployment pocket. So there was definitely subjects that I didn't have an answer for, do you know what I mean? Within Brexit, within that whole conversation, whether to leave. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave Europe because I thought it was the wrong thing. But I do acknowledge that there was a lot of things there, and I wish that we could be united, because it's not the liberal media who are creating unemployment in Scunthorpe, you know. It wasn't Labour Party, it was rich capitalists who would do anything to make an extra, you know, and the shareholders. Who are their shareholders? Maybe it's my mum. Maybe it's your mum. Maybe it's Craig. Who knows?
I doubt it.
And
Yeah.
it comes down to profit margins, because if things are given to shareholders, and shareholders are normal people and they vote on it, and they're like, well, we make it in China and you make triple dividends, or we make it in the UK and you make 5%. You know,
It's tough. Yeah. But
everyone,
global social justice is not an easy one, is it?
no. But anyway, this is They Don't Love. There's a Mungo HiFi remix for everyone listening. Check out Mungos HiFi on Spotify. Check out Mungos HiFi on Facebook. Check out DJ Vadim on Spotify. Please subscribe. Please tag a friend. Please share. It's been really fun. This is my last song.
No, they don't love. I don't love just love. No, they don't love. No goodness for none of us. But we see right through all the cheap things. But we see right through all the cheap things. No, they don't love. Police never take for the truncheons. Government's needing through corruption and spending my money on the gardens or something. This ain't no stupid assumption. The line to my face and its faces and nothing. The laws we live in all for the functions. We get judged on false judgment. The longest wars ain't needed. Always dying. The families are grieving. Wars cost enough. Our economy's bleeding. Call of recession. All the time we're saying. Kids right here need feeding. They got the cash to the one that we're feeding. They've got a stash for for the keeping. I'm crying out like, can you beat the cost? They don't give a damn. Don't give a much. They can help any man. Don't really want to help keep Sir Jam. Can't buy a house. Can't buy no land. Hard for no education. Getting a job like the lottery fam. If you win, then you're a slave for the man. If you don't, then you will get crushed in a pan. You will get crushed in a pan if you ain't ready from a real upper class time. Could have one line set, they got money, they bang. That's still 1%. All happy get a can, then they ain't giving up. That's part of the plan. That's why we all suffer down here in a scam. No love, no strand, no none, they hit no man cut. Them not the people, not treat the people like them equal. We get mad, them people, drop for the up, they drop for the eagle. Kick them down, Steven Seagal, straight by the ground. Dark and evil, fist that are from, don't be that piece, so I'm in all out. Them the one that you can equal, set up the people, up evil, in your business, walking evil, tax for your money, I make the most people. Then them say you have to be to the council, now do them work out, treat them rumble like it hard, every day man a stumble, family, you can crack them, start working. Like some hard, every day man sing, and more money and man more bling. Can't get a job, so the man biking, then he go on the road when he phones start ring. All him know say that he must win, it's the settings of the system, control and war, that's all them bring. And all the queen and king. They don't love, I just love, they just love. No, they don't love, no goodness for none of us. We see right through all the cheap things. We see right through all the cheap things. No, they don't love, no, they don't love. See right through the cheap them. The people won't stand till we speak for them. Hey, party and we are rich for them. Hey, they don't know now. Passion in the air, it's gone down. And they ain't the young man and young gone now. They don't know now. As the rivers run red, they don't know now. No. The white care, the white don't bounce. Run myself around with other people, but trust me, ain't no time for the slow jams. Ain't no time for reptilians, the minions running the back, bringing shit down to the ground. You're out and about, I've been chilling with the turf and I'm a gang. Good vibration, put it in love, ain't running it up. Better making bread, so we're really talking. Bust in, for your thoughts and perceptions, switch, hate the love, hate to trust, take the rough, pull the up, and take the spun, cruising your distant place, and you'll be fucking on the way. The white gotta be like this. I'm pouring George and Welly and thoughts with a smash twist. Creating a God's likeness, and we must write this. Try to lift the path of the righteous. For too long, too many done suffered in silence. For several sons seeking on someone's silence. From a someone that sparked the God's spirit somewhere inside us to come out of hiding. The sun shimmers over the right. They don't get their attention, I don't even want to give the woman a mention. I confuse it, believe it, mention, leaving it for real, attention. I ain't trying to see them care about no one, but they don't care about the beats in my section. And into my grind out, so I moved them through them across the border and left it. Even our people, you can't forget them. If you do wrong, then you want to correct them. I've seen many man drop for attention, living in chain loss action. I came with a question, how the fuck did you win the election? And now you ever look to the clip that you all would have tried to correct and show some affection.
Boop, boop, boop.
Rest in peace, Metropolis from Foreign Beggars. He passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
That was with J-Man, Metropolis, T-Man from Levels in Manchester, Inja, and Frisky Dan. Graciela and Andre Laville. A lot of people on that train.
Yeah, gosh.
You got any final words? Mungos HiFi got final words?
Final words, I don't know. Like final words at a time like this, it doesn't feel like we're at the end of it. So I don't know if it's really time for final words. I mean, yeah, stay strong in the fight. Gosh. Yeah, George Orwell was name checked in that tune, and it's dark times, and I feel that he's reverberating around a lot at the moment. And yeah, I hope we can find our way out of this mess. Yeah, I hope we can do something to help that. I hope all the people out there can feel a bit positive, and I hope the music can do something to bring people together, and that's why I do what I do.
Definitely, I hope not only is music a respite, a form of not just entertainment, but feeds our soul.
For sure.
So I hope the music feeds the souls of everyone watching, wherever you are. You're appreciated, you're loved. We love you, I love you, and we continue. And we live in an unjust world, and things that happened recently, things that happened all my life, they sadden me, but we can't give up. We continue.
Sure.
Mungos HiFi continue. Daddy Vad continues. We're going to fight the good fight. Try and change things through changing politicians, through elections. Show that we care through protests, and being vocal when we see, or when I see injustice. So thank you for everybody watching. We're signing out. This will go up on YouTube very soon. Please tag a friend, please share. It's a very serious subject, but also hopefully this was entertaining at the same time. I'm very jealous of the Mungos HiFi backdrop. That could just be a poster if all I knew, but I didn't know. I'm thinking of printing a big like A0 poster to go behind me. It's just the way my studio is set up. I would need to do some major configuration to get something like that. It's just because my studio's in a basement, so I have to have the phone as close to the door as possible so I don't lose connectivity. But I heard many stories about the sound system, and Jerome told me. Has Jerome moved back to France then?
Yeah, Jerome's in France. He's in Bar-le-Duc at the moment.
Down in the south.
I think he's kind of more central at the moment. He's he was tuned in before. If he's still listening, hey Jerome.
Big up Jerome. Big up the sound system. It's incredible sounding. I'm sure you've got to change this constant changing, upgrading, modifying, tweaking, twiddling, tinkering. I don't envy that part of the job, but I envy the backdrop. You don't get one without the other, I suppose. Thank you for everyone watching. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Mungos HiFi. Thank you for the love. Thank you for coming on and doing this. Stay strong, everyone. Wash your hands. And rest in peace, George Floyd.
Yeah, man.
Peace.
Yeah, one love.